Sunshine Daily! Hello everyone! These are my top 5 ride picks for Disneyland. Maybe you're watching because you haven't been yet and you want to see what the top 5 rides are. Maybe you're a veteran who's been many times, want to compare your top 5 to mine. But these are the top 5 rides at Disneyland that I personally consider the best, can't be missed for your trip. Again, this is Disneyland, which is Anaheim, California. And personally, I've been there hundreds of times. Rides come and go. They have new ones, they have old ones. I'm telling you, these are the 5 best that you cannot miss. So, come along with me and check them out. And let me know, what do you think? What are your top 5 rides? Don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Now, when I recorded this is in 2025, and I'm going to start off here in Frontierland. So if you're wondering, what is in Frontierland in the top 5? Thunder Mountain. Cannot be missed. Now, I will rope drop this frequently, even though sometimes they only have 1 train running. They actually have 2 on the tracks, usually most of the day. In the morning, sometimes they only have 1 running, and so there will be a little bit longer wait between the hours of 8 and 10 until they get that second train running. However, I have been there in the morning when they have 2 trains running, especially if they expect busier crowds, which would be spring break, holiday season. Those 2 times, 2 trains are usually running in the morning. This particular wait, 0 minutes because I rope dropped it. As you can see, Big Thunder Mountain is a roller coaster ride. Usually you just have 2 people, 2-seater. You can squeeze 3 in, but usually it's just 2 together. My 7-year-old just tried this ride and he loved it. So, hope you enjoy Thunder Mountain. As we're finishing up Thunder Mountain train ride, I will mention sometimes these bigger rides do close down, but do not worry. Usually a closure is just about an hour. Maximum I've seen about 3 hours, and then it will get back online. So if it closes down when you're there, keep a sharp eye out for when it reopens, because you might get lucky and get on that run quickly right when it opens. Now, if you are interested in seeing the nature at Disney, great place to see ducks. Right here, across that bridge in Frontierland to the main hub of Disneyland. Now we're going to cross over this main hub area so you can take a look and see what my next top 5 rides are. In the morning, if you get there early, it's a good idea to get your pictures in front of the castle before there start to be a lot of people or crowds in front of your picture. So, just a suggestion, if you have a minute, stop, enjoy the magic, I know you're rushing from ride to ride before the big crowds get there in the morning, but take a moment with your family or by yourself and take a picture of the castle. They do have lines that will form in front of it, but you can always go around the side and make your own picture shot. You don't have to get in that one main line. All right, we are going now. Oh, let's take a look at this ride here. I should mention there are buses and cars you can get on, and they only go from the main hub, which is the circle, and then they'll go all the way down to the main gate of Disneyland. So that is the only location that they will do, but they do drop off and pick up, and that is a free ride if you're interested. Next, we're heading to Tomorrowland. Can you guess what my next top 5 ride is? It's a big one. We're going to Space Mountain. Space Mountain has changed over the years as far as the look and appearance, but the actual ride has remained the same. It is a roller coaster that's a very high speed and in the dark. But what's great about Space Mountain is that there is no upside down turning. So for those of you roller coaster fanatics that love fast roller coasters but don't want to be upside down, this is definitely for you. It is definitely in my top 5, and if I don't go on Space Mountain, it's not a good day for me at Disneyland. So, Space Mountain, there is a tip I will give you called single rider line. Single rider is where you will be essentially pulled out by yourself and be with another group of people. So if you don't mind that, that option is right there in the exit. So I'm going to take you through the single rider line. Now the single rider does fill up. So some people think 12 o'clock, I'll go by myself, separate from my party. But the thing is that you might still have to wait 30 to 45 minutes in single rider in the middle of the day. So I really suggest you do single rider in the morning or near in that window of 8 to 10 a.m. I will say, when it gets closer to 10 a.m., you will be waiting for single rider, more than you think. But Space Mountain here, we're going to go through the exit. There's going to be a podium. And at the podium, there will be a cast member with tickets. You will need to get one of these tickets in order to give it to the other cast member at the entrance of Space Mountain. So make sure you get that ticket. Don't just go on, they'll send you back to the podium. So we're finding the podium. There are 3 cast members here. Now, if you're saying to yourself, I don't want to do single rider, that's totally fine. Just go in the normal entrance to Space Mountain. If you get there between 8 and 10 a.m., your wait won't be too bad. But after that, it will probably be 30 minutes to an hour. So Space Mountain, in my top 5 rides, I have to get it done in that early morning time to guarantee that I can get on without a long wait. So this is a single rider line. It's essentially the wheelchair accessible back way here. So you're going to go down this long corridor all the way to the end. Then you're going to make a right-hand turn. And you're going to go to the end of this long corridor as well. When you get down there, there'll be a sign for single rider. You wait there. You might see a few people in line, hopefully not. And then you just wait there till the cast member asks for your ticket and says single rider. Definitely something to note, you will be split up from your party. So again, there's no guarantee that you will be with your party. If you're traveling with a child, they must be 7-year-old or older, and I would suggest that you sandwich them in between 2 adults, as in you get on first or another grown-up or adult, then the child goes, and then you go. That way you ensure safety, knowing where your child will be right when you get off that ride and when they get off the ride. So I just have 2 people in front of me for single rider here, so we're just waiting for them to get on, and then it will be my turn. Again, really quick and easy. Space Mountain is the best ride at Disneyland. Definitely in the top 5. You've got to check it out. Now that we're done with my second top 5 rides at Disneyland, we're going to go check out number 3. And as we walk across, if you're hungry, by the way, there's always a churro cart or pretzel cart in every single land. Astro Blaster here, this is actually my son's top 5, but not mine. And that's going to be all along the way. So we're going to cross over the hub again to get to our next big ride. Now what you could decide to do is get a Fast Pass, and so if you want a tip on Fast Pass, I will hit some of these big rides in my top 5 even though they're on Fast Pass. Why? Because then I get to go on them twice. So I'll hit them immediately right in the morning, and then I will book my Fast Pass, and then I'll have no wait. So no wait for either time of going on my top 5 rides. You do whatever plan works for you and your family, but that's usually my plan, especially if I'm by myself or if it's me and my husband. If I'm with my kid, then I'll usually go on the little kid rides that have no Fast Pass first, and then we'll hit those bigger, these top 5 later on in the day, and then have no wait with my family or my kid. Here's a horse-drawn carriage. Again, same idea as the omnibus. It's going to take you around the circle or the main hub of Disneyland entrance, and it will drop you off at the very front gate. That is the stop, and then it will go back again. So it doesn't really take you anywhere else in the park, but it's a very enjoyable ride. I suggest if you can locate the exit and the entrance, the drop-off and the pickup for either this omnibus here or for the horse-drawn carriage, I highly suggest you give that a try. And again, it's free of charge. The omnibus, I have seen it stop right here in front of Frontierland before, and then sometimes it will stop right in front of the castle. So you kind of have to watch out for where it's stopping. All right, we're gonna head back through Frontierland. And this is gonna be my number 3 out of my top 5 rides. So if you think about the lands, they are quite spread out, so you might have to make a decision if you want to stick in one land and do all the rides there, or what I call, ping pong across the park between your top 5 rides to make sure you get them all in. I don't mind the walking, I'm used to it, so I will ping pong back and forth to make sure I get on my top 5 rides. So here we are back in Frontierland again, which is fine by me, because we're headed to my next favorite ride. Along the way, you can see all these really great shops. There's a couple restaurants. I would suggest do not stop and buy anything till the end of your trip. You don't want to have to carry your stuff all day. If you've never seen, this is a steamboat, the Mark Twain. And we can see that along our next ride, which is Haunted Mansion. Now I'm going to go on the right side here because this is my Fast Pass. So all these other people that you see on the left, they're in the standby line. And if you get here before 9, I would say, you're not going to have that long of a wait. But after that, it's probably going to be 30 minutes. So I'm using my Fast Pass here. The way you use the Fast Pass is you'll have to pull it up on the Disneyland app and then scan in the barcode when it's ready to redeem. If you've never used Fast Pass, a tip for you is you can actually use your Fast Pass 5 minutes before the time frame and 5 minutes after. I didn't realize that until recently, but that's a good tip if you've never used Fast Pass before. And you do have a 1-hour window to use it. Hope you enjoy Haunted Mansion, my number 3 top ride. Now, a warning if you do have children for the Haunted Mansion. I took my son when he was 5 on that, and he waited in line right till we got on and said he didn't want to go on it because he was too scared. So sometimes for the little ones, the Haunted Mansion can be a bit much because there is, the scary factor or the loud music with the laughing. So just keep that in mind when you have children. You might end up having to separate the party if they don't like that. But I do suggest you give it a try, especially if you're with all adults or your party has older children or children who are not going to be scared easily. All right, we're going to walk next into my next top 5 rides. This time we're in Bayou country. Now, this ride used to be called Splash Mountain, and so I will often hear around the park people will say, "Oh, let's go on Splash Mountain." And it really dates them as far as guests go because it's not called Splash Mountain anymore. So if you're watching this and going, "Wait, what? There's no Splash Mountain?" No, there is Splash Mountain, but it's now called Tiana's. So Tiana's Bayou is now replacing Splash Mountain. It is just different theming all around the movie with Tiana, but it has that same big drop that you remember at the very end, and that's where you hear all the screams in the park. So I'm going to be going here to show you just the sign so you can see where to go for this attraction. As you can see, it's a very long wait, especially when it's hotter out. The wait's going to be longer, but this is the name of it now, Tiana's Bayou Adventure, formerly known as Splash Mountain. You will get wet on this ride if you're in the very front. I wore a poncho and I was in the back, and I hardly even got wet. There is a single rider line on this as well. A lot of people will try that. Same idea as Space Mountain. You're going to be going through the exit, and same idea where you're split up from your party. And that's what I did here. Usually they will give a single rider the back seat. So hope you enjoy Tiana's Bayou Adventure, my top 5 rides. Now there is a viewing area if you don't want to go on this ride, but the rest of your party does. And you can film your family down that last big drop at Tiana's. It's just right around the corner from it. Now we're just gonna take one last walk again. I'm gonna cross over the hub or the main central area around the castle. This time we're going technically called Fantasyland, although it is kind of in between Tomorrowland and Fantasyland, but it's technically in Fantasyland. My top 5 mainly includes roller coasters. Oh, there's the omnibus again. My top 5 includes mainly roller coasters, and that's just my personal preference. Obviously, yours might be different with a family, with small children, but these are my top 5. Definitely, I would say at some point you should check out a Disneyland, even if you have to separate from your party. Here's that really cool horse-drawn carriage ride. You can give that a try too. And again, castle picture, don't forget to take that. So where are we going? We're going to the Matterhorn. Now I know some people that say they hate this ride or don't like this ride. It is in my top 5. It's my number 5. And honestly, it was really difficult. Oh, there's Captain Hook. Hi, Captain Hook. It was just so difficult to decide between Matterhorn and Pirates. Pirates has always been my favorite in the top 5, but as I've gotten older, I gotta take those roller coasters when I can. Pirates is a good sit-down ride, and so that is actually my number 6 now. But Matterhorn has 2 different bobsled sides. There's the Tomorrowland side, which is on the left as you're looking at the mountain, and then there's the Fantasyland side, which is on the right. My favorite is the Fantasyland side, and a lot of locals or a lot of Disneyland veterans, they'll say that. They'll say, you know, really try to get on that right side of the mountain. It is a smoother bobsled ride. Some people still don't like it. Just know it is very bumpy because it's on a steel track. And so if you have neck issues, you might not want to go on Matterhorn. But if you love roller coasters like me, then you're definitely going to want to check it out. I love how fast it is. I don't mind how kind of bumpy this ride is. I'm used to that, but just know that that's an expectation. And again, the Fantasyland side is going to be right here kind of across from Alice in Wonderland. So you could always request, hey, can I go on the Fantasyland side track at bobsled? And the cast member will always say yes. So here also, by the way, to note, there is a single rider line. So again, I try to hit this ride. Right here is the entrance for it where the strollers are. You kind of go around the strollers and then to the right. And same idea as Space Mountain, they're going to hand you a ticket that will say single rider. So make sure you check out single rider, especially if you're separated from your party. But again, this whole line will fill up after 10 a.m. And this is taken about that time. It's around 10 a.m. Still nobody in the single rider line, which is lucky for me. And so I'm going to give this single rider a shot here. Single rider will be right next to the strollers, and look out for those signs if you've never been there before. You're going to walk all the way down, and you're going to wait. You just wait for that cast member to come over to you because they might be busy with the fast pass line. So you just wait here, and then they will give you your ticket. And again, this would be the moment to say, hey, I'd like to go on the Fantasyland side, please. And if you don't mind, you just try either side of the park, but just know the right-hand side is a smoother ride. This time, I'm going to take you, and we're going to do the more bumpy side, which is Tomorrowland side. Hope you enjoy. This is, again, my top number 5 ride at Disneyland. If you've never been on the bobsled ride, it is similar to Tiana's. See how there's just single seats, so you will be by yourself, which is why I don't mind single rider, because you're by yourself anyways in the seat. And from here, you might get wet if you're in the very front seat, especially on the Tomorrowland side. But I've never gotten wet on this ride, and I've sat in every single seat, so I wouldn't worry about getting wet on the bobsled ride. There is a little bit of water at the very end, but it's just one little section, literally 2 seconds at the end, and it's not a big drop in it, which is why I think people don't get wet. So as soon as you get onto the ride, make sure you give them that single rider ticket, or if you're in the regular wait line, just decide which seat you want to get before you get up there, front, middle, or back. I actually prefer the back because it's faster. Again, I love roller coasters, but my son likes to sit in the front. He tried the front and loved it. So just decide where you want to sit when you're waiting with your party. And just know that you might be separated if there's more than 3 of you. As you can see, there's 3 per bobsled and 1 per seat. Hope you have fun. Enjoy the rest of my video on the Matterhorn. I'm just going to take you now to the front of the line. See, it's a 35-minute wait here, about 10:15 in the morning. And this is where you would get in for the regular standby entrance. So, hope you enjoyed my video. Have a great trip. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe.